But the story that really matters this morning is the sale of the port lease, and this will affect all of us. News broke yesterday, just after 11 o'clock yesterday morning, I think it was, and it's been sold to a consortium for $9.7 billion. It's a bit like the Treasurer Tim Pallas going to a house auction, and it's gone well over his reserve because I think it was about $3 billion more than they expected. So now we're flush with cash, apparently. How should we spend it? We're joined in the studio by, I'm going to say, a somewhat gloating Tim Pallas, I think, our State Treasurer. Good morning to you, Treasurer.
Oh, it's good to be with you. I'm ever humble, Tony. It's a great outcome for Victoria, though.
Were you surprised? When did you find out that it's gone well above what you expected it to be?
I didn't find out until I'd got word from the steering committee, which are the people we'd appointed to give us professional and dispassionate advice between the two competing bids. They called. I got a call from the secretary of my department around about 6 o'clock on Sunday night, at which point he took me through their recommendation, the preferred bidder, and then he gave me the number of $9.729 billion.
Did you drop the phone?
Well, I said, could you just repeat that for me again? I thought maybe I was hearing wrong, but it was a phenomenal outcome. And just to put it into context, this is a 50-year lease. New South Wales sold two ports for a 100-year lease for around about $5 billion.
Yeah, but even you said yesterday, I think, that you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you can't help good luck. Yes, the harder we work, the luckier we get. But this was just a perfect storm of opportunity for us. What we saw here was markets looking for secure investments because the rate of return on general stock market investments are low. So this is a good, solid investment for them. Might I say that whilst it's a solid investment for equity markets, it's also a good investment for Victorians. What we will have is a well-run private port that will be able to assure users of the port that they're going to get lower rates for export containers. They're actually going to drop by 2.5% a year for exports over the next 4 years. And also, we've got the most regulated private port where any attempt at price gouging can be well and truly controlled by the Essential Services Commission, who will oversight the process.
I want to ask you just where the money's going specifically, and when we're going to start seeing some of the works being carried out now that we're all sort of flush with funds. There was a downside, wasn't there? The contribution from the federal government was considerably less than what you were expecting.
Yeah, I'm not happy. I've got to say, the one thing you expect when you deal with governments, whether it's state and federal governments, is that what you say you're going to do, you honour. Now, Joe Hockey and I had an agreement when the asset recycling principles were put in place. Joe said this, I don't care what you spend the money on, provided it's economy-growing infrastructure, and that's all I require of you. We now have the federal government saying, we won't give you any money unless you put our money, which is the 15% that's due to Victorians, unless you put that money into Melbourne Metro. Well, there's a problem. We've funded Melbourne Metro fully. We don't need federal government money for that, but there are plenty of other projects that Victorians deserve and should expect to get this money put to good use.
But the way I read it is that the federal government said, yeah, we'll give you that 15% if the deal is done at a certain time, and you didn't get the deal done by that certain time, so that's dropped back to about 9%, I think, hasn't it?
Oh, no, it's not a question of timing. For example... I
think Scott Morrison's office yesterday said that the deal needed to be done by June 30.
Well, if the deal is the agreement, the National Partnership Agreement, certainly we wrote back to them and indicated that we were prepared to accept 15% being received for the purposes of mutually agreed infrastructure. Now what they're trying to do is change the rules that Joe Hockey set. You can build anything but sports stadiums, was his famous words on this. They're now saying you will put it into Melbourne Metro. Now, Tony, I suspect what they're up to here is trying to tell the state of Victoria how to build Melbourne Metro with a pretty small contribution that is our money anyway.